Hey guys, welcome to SuTube. It's May 27th. I know it's been a while since I made my last video, and I'm sorry for that, but as a lot of you guys probably find, the spring slash summer when weather starts getting nicer and in our neck of the woods, COVID restrictions are starting to become a little more lenient. Back at work, working overtime, all that sort of fun stuff, so I haven't been able to get into the charts and especially make videos for you guys. So sorry about that, and I'm hoping to get back on the wagon here. But anyways, guys, here's a trade that I currently I took overnight actually. You can see down here we had this ascending triangle, and you can see that it actually broke another pattern of mine, which I'll zoom out and show you in a bit here. But I'll just go with the measured move of the triangle here of where a good target would have been. So you can see here that our target is actually a little shy of where I ended up taking profits, and this was one of those rare times I never actually set my take profits until I woke up in the morning. With this green candle here, I'm going to erase a few things here. This arrow pointing to this blue line here is where I entered my trade. This green line here in the flag is where I took a quarter of my position off the table. I had half of my initial, sorry, getting tongue-tied here, position stopped out here, which is also obviously in a profit. This was a 10x leverage trade. And I have 1/4 of my initial position still remaining with my stop loss just below 9,000. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is if I were to take a Fibonacci from where this triangle formed its support to where we topped out here, you'll notice that the 382 level here, this is quite often an important fib level as well. Not as much as the 618, but I still like to pay attention to it. And if things are really bullish, a lot of times they won't make it down past this one here, as well as if you're bearish and you're doing opposite pull, the 382 can become very quick resistance. So in this case, we have our 382 just above 9,000. 9,000 is a nice round number as well. You can see my weekly white trend line that I point out every video is also right around that level. So there's a lot of potential support going on there. But if we are just going to test back up to this, I actually thought this was going to be a bull flag earlier, but I did want to have a plan B in case we dropped out. I wanted to lock in some more profits and still leave a little bit on the table. And of course there is the possibility right now that we could just hit this as old support turning into new resistance, and we could start our plunge back down. Even if we are to test the 618, that would also line up with the top of this ascending triangle. That could be old resistance becoming new support. So maybe the 618 would be a realistic pullback. But if that happens, I just want to lock in a little bit more of my profits, take my position off the table, and I'll reassess and I can enter another trade at a later time. So as for now, I'm going to leave that quarter of my position go. I would consider adding to it as we go higher because I'd be able to keep my stop loss in a profit. If I'm not feeling up to opening myself up to more risk, I can still add to my position since my average entry is so low compared to where we're at. I have a little bit of wiggle room there. So let me just clean up these lines a little bit and I'll show you what made me take my trade. Other than this, obviously the ascending triangle, but that candle that closed above that triangle also closed above this pattern, and it's actually a 4-hour pattern I was watching. So I had this falling wedge, which generally is a bullish pattern. So I was really waiting for a break above that to get in a position, and since that 15-minute close closed above both bullish patterns I was looking at, I wanted to get in on a trade there. So I did, and the fact that we are actually, even on the 4-hour, we are respecting that white weekly trend line almost perfectly here. You guys know where that line comes from. I show you on my weekly chart pretty much every video. If we get this green candle close back above that white trend line here, I am going to be fairly bullish. That being said, I think we need one more retest as resistance on this white trend line. It doesn't have to. We could break above, retest it as support, and take off if FOMO really kicks in. But I'm not really banking on that. I wouldn't be surprised to see us go up for a little bit of a fake out here and get an actual support test on the weekly of this line and then break above and see something like that. Especially if we break above this white trend line and then test this horizontal level of resistance as new support, that would be quite bullish in my mind. Now, you guys know that I point out this trend line pretty much every video, and that's because I think this is one of the most, if not the most important trend line on Bitcoin right now. Now, of course, none of this is financial advice. Do your own research. These are only my opinions and how I'm looking at this market speculatively. Always do your own research, please. But anyways, yeah, you guys know I've been pointing that out. So that's kind of some patterns that I'm watching right now. Another one that I want to point out to you guys actually on the 4-hour while we're here is this purple one. We might end up getting a similar situation, how I just had a triangle break through another triangle pattern. I just showed you guys that on a much smaller scale now. So looking back, that was a 15-minute triangle breaking through a 4-hour triangle, and now we're looking at a potential 4-hour triangle breaking above a gigantic weekly triangle. So that's why I am always focusing on this gigantic weekly triangle so much, because if I didn't believe that it was an important trend line, I would shut up about it. But I think it's very important to keep that on everybody's radar. So with that, guys, those are just a few things that I wanted to point out. As far as looking for an entry right now where I would be potentially adding to my position, is I would like to see some sort of a pullback to this green line and forming a bit of a double bottom on it. I think that would be quite bullish as well. I think what is very probable is might see some sort of a, I'm not sure how to draw this here, but let's say some sort of an ascending triangle. Of course, we're going to have to see how this all plays out, but yeah, just a few things to kind of watch for. All of this is speculative at this point. That being said, I think something to take into consideration right now is the fact that we had this potential bull flag I was watching, and that support, which then failed, and it failed as new resistance. I mean, this could end up being quite bullish right now if we get some sort of a retest of this and take off through this, and this bull flag does in fact end up playing out. If we were to look for a measured move, I would consider something like that for the flagpole. So that's a pretty high target. I know we've faced resistance at the 95, 9600 area before, so that is absolutely possible. Gonna have to see how this plays out though, guys. And anyways, guys, that's just a few things I wanted to point out to you. Hopefully you guys are learning something. If you could give me a like, give me a subscribe, give me a comment, any sort of support like that would be greatly appreciated. Sorry, I'm feeling a little rusty and getting tongue-tied behind the mic here because it's been a little while, and safety's a thing. But other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful evening and have a great weekend. I'm hoping to stay on top of these videos here, and with that, I'm out. Peace.